Well, I think it exposed all over the world the fact that you're not a secure society if you have a society that is sick. And we need to get on top of this by understanding the data better, and the failure around the world to get that data and understand it more quickly has resulted in the consequences that we're seeing right now.
So China wants to modernize disease prevention and control. So based on your experience teaching in China, what would that mean and what does that look like?
Well, first and foremost, it means continuing to discourage smoking, because smoking is responsible for more than 1 million cases of lung cancer every year in China, and these could be avoided. Even though China is continuing to produce tobacco, there's a kind of conflict of interest inherent in what's going on, with one hand producing tobacco and the other discouraging people from smoking. And there's no question that smoking is a major cause of ill health and disease. In addition to that, of course, with the change in food patterns that we see around the world, with more and more fast food, we call it junk food, with high salt and high fat and high sugar, you're seeing in China as well a problem of obesity with the little emperors and empresses of the young children who are showing up as obese with 4 grandparents, 1 child. That's a growing problem as well. And in addition, now we know that for COVID-19, if you are obese or have other cofactors, your chances of doing poorly with the disease are much more increased. So prevention means finding out the things that cause disease and reducing them from happening in the first place, because it is always true that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
And we're seeing these 2 sessions come 2 months later because of this pandemic. So laying out the reforms and all these goals, realistically, what can be done, seeing as we're halfway through 2020 already?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, you know, China's always shown the ability to hit the road running, and I think in this case they're going to have to do that. We have to start out with something very basic, which is that public health statistics need to be made more publicly accessible and transparent. And when that happens, you'll be able to get information and understand how to control this pandemic and other problems as well. And so access to public information is at the cornerstone of public health research and science, and also developing policies to prevent disease. You first of all have to know what are your major diseases, and then you can go back and say, well, what are the causes that we can control? Another important one for China, particularly out in the rural areas, is that of alcohol. People, where they can, as you know, make their own, sometimes have serious problems associated with that as well. And these are all combined as examples of things where we can prevent the diseases associated with alcohol, with obesity, with poor nutrition, as well as understand better the patterns that emerge, because every person as an individual contributes to the overall health and well-being of the security of China. Each one matters, and if we can get the data in a way that we can understand it while it's happening, then it will allow us to come up with better policies to control and to prevent disease. And in particular with the COVID-19, we need a better understanding of where the hot spots are and who are the super spreaders, and that's only going to come about with more publicly accessible data. I also think, as I've said before, that China needs to call for an international commission to come in and review what has happened with COVID-19, so that we will all learn from what happened well and what did not go so well, and not repeat these problems again.